Happy Friday, everyone. Welcome to BMG Fly's first Friday feature of the month of July. It is Friday, July 5th, and we are so excited to welcome the amazing author Khadijah Van Brakle and talk about her awesome debut novel, Fatima, Tate Takes the Cake. But also, we're going to talk a lot about what it means to be a Black Muslim woman and be so fly, and in the publishing arena, and being a mom, and so many other things. So let's see if we can go on ahead and pull Khadijah into our live broadcast and get started. I have so many questions, and I'm sure you do too. If you are someone who's a storyteller or a writer, or you're interested in finding out more about publishing, we'll talk about that as well. But this is really a conversation about what it means to be Black, Muslim, and fly. And I definitely want to talk a little bit about the career path, but also just being ourselves. So let me go on ahead and message Khadijah so that she can see us and pop in to the live and get started. I think because sometimes it's a person's first time going live, so they don't realize what they need to do. So I just sent her a text message. And while we're waiting, let me go on ahead and take a sip of my water. And tell everybody a little bit about BMG Fly. I started Black Muslim Girl Fly back in 2018 at a time when I felt disempowered in Hollywood, and as a screenwriter, I felt like all of the stories that I was trying to push about Black and Muslim people were being shut down, and everybody kept saying, oh yeah, take this path, do this, although it would be a longer route. It took a lot of sacrifice and, things that I wasn't willing to sacrifice as a Muslim person. And so I felt like I needed to carve out our own path so that we can tell our own stories without having to jump through hoops. And that's why BMG Fly exists. We are a nonprofit organization, and our goal is to amplify the narrative of Black and Muslim people, specifically girls and women. And the way we do that every Friday is we invite someone who is amazing, a Black Muslim girl or woman who is fly, and we talk about what they are passionate about, their career. And today we are talking to and with to publish one of the first young adult novels starring a Black Muslim girl. Literally, there has never been a Black Muslim girl starring in a young adult novel until now. There's only two. And last week we had Layla Sabrine on talking about her novel, which is the other one of the two. So yes, Khadijah, I see you. I invited you in, and hopefully we can get started. Awesome.
Oh.
Alhamdulillah. Okay, so thank you for joining us. And to get started, introduce yourself, tell us who you are, where you're from, and what you're doing now.
Okay, so let's breathe. Technical difficulties abated. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Hi, my name is Khadijah Van Brakle. I'm a contemporary young adult author. I live in Albuquerque, New Mexico. What am I doing right now? Well, right now I'm talking to you guys, and I just turned in the middle of June my second round of developmental edits for my second book. I'm the author of Fatima, Tate Takes the Cake. It's a contemporary young adult featuring a Black American Muslim main character, and that was released June of 2023 by Holiday House.
Nice. Awesome. And are you originally from New Mexico?
Oh, no. I was born and raised in Canada. Both my parents are from Boston. But for some reason, they decided that, my sister and I were both born and raised in Canada.
Awesome. Okay, cool. Excellent. And so every week we talk about BMG Fly and what that means to you as a person, and what it means, with regard to not just you individually, but for your community. And I'm sure that in Albuquerque, there is a Muslim community that you're connected to. Um, do you feel like there is a fair representation of BMG Fly at that community? Or are you the one that superstar shows up and brings it?
Well, let's just say there are not a lot of us here.
Gotcha.
The whole state is probably less than 5% African American, so you can even just imagine how many Muslims that includes. So, I definitely feel that I've been on a journey, because I've been a Muslim for a long minute. So I think I didn't really start until like 2012 when I started writing. I felt like I can't really write the stories that I want to write unless I'm true to myself. So like I'm no longer trying to be someone else. I'm no longer trying to be a different kind of Muslim. I'm Khadijah and this is who I am, and I'm probably louder than most. I practice martial arts. Now I'm taking belly dancing classes. Um, and so I think that in starting in 2012 is when that BMG fly sort of started awakening in me. And I'm really hoping that by writing the books that I write as truthfully as I possibly can, and as long as I keep connecting with their target audience and readers, librarians, educators, whoever, that I am like living my BMG fly.
That's awesome. I love it. Like that is the inspiration, not just for other girls out here, but also for your girls. I know you have daughters.
Yes,
Is that right? Two,
yes.
two daughters, three. Wow. Okay. Awesome. We're gonna talk about that too, but let's focus on you. Like that's a lot to step into, and it takes a lot of courage, to own your own identity and really just like say, "This is who I am," unapologetically. What was the process for you? Like belly dancing, martial arts? This is so cool.
So, well, belly dancing is a new thing, so I've only been doing that for a couple months, so that wasn't it. But I think that, like you can't write stories about little black children and black teenagers unless you are like, and you want to write them authentically, you have to be okay with who you are. So I really think that, because I started writing anything for kids in 2012. So I definitely feel that helped me accept who I was. Because it wasn't until 5 years later in 2017 when my youngest was in high school when I found out that in 2017 there was not one traditionally published young adult novel that I could find or the librarians could find here that had a Black American Muslim main character. So yeah, I was like, oh, we need to fix this.
Exactly. So it is very much connected to who you are. It's sort of like this infinite loop of stepping into what Allah gave you as your calling, and it also fulfilling you in your identity as well. Because in order to do that, you had to accept yourself fully and just say, you know what, this is what I'm doing. I'm going to show up as myself because I can only do what I want to do as my full self, right? Awesome. And as
Exactly.
some I personally grew up wanting those books. I lived in a library in high school. I was the only Muslim in my high school, and it was really very lonely. But in books, I sought, connections that I couldn't find. And so you are absolutely correct. Like, there were none. There were no books that starred a Black Muslim American girl. And when I heard about yours and Layla's, the other book we talked about last week, it was just such a fulfilling, like it's amazing. This is like a wonderful thing that you're doing. Like you don't understand. Like this is like groundbreaking. I want you to know that. Like accept the accolades, man, because this is like so amazing. And your book is so good. Like it's so good. I'm going to talk about that too, but
Thank you.
so yeah.
Thank you, Marcella.
And then your daughter, like your daughter was your connection, and I'm sure that, like, for her, looking for a book in that same situation I was back in 1989, trying to find a book, she was like, well, there aren't any. So, like, how that translates into you solving the problem is literally that path of, identity and embracing yourself. But she's picking up the mantle. Like, is she a writer as well, or is she just someone who loves to read?
No, she's not a writer, but she definitely loves to read. We're a reading family. So of course at first when she was asked, how can you be Black and Muslim at the same time in high school? Um, that was huge. And because I had already started dabbling into writing for kids and teens, well, not really teens, but just kids, we went to the library, and that's when we asked the question and found out the dismal answer. So, but I think that says a lot about you as well, because you saw, like, look at what you're doing with this BMG Fly and, your entertainment endeavors. I mean, mashallah, sis.
Alhamdulillah. No,
It's scarcity. It's scarcity, and just tired of not being recognized. Like, people have no problems if they see me, especially before they talk to me. Like, they'll yell at me, "Go home," and then I'll be like, "To Canada?" I'm like, "You don't like Canadians?" Like, because it's unfortunately they can't fathom that there are American citizens who are also Muslim. And then, you add in the African American part, the Black part, and they just don't understand.
and there's a rich history of, the root of Islam in America is from Black people, literally. So like this whole understanding of, Islam being foreign to America is literally so untrue.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
untrue.
Mhm. And unfortunately, we don't learn this in the schools here, and I definitely did not learn any of this in Canada. But that was back in the day. I can't speak to their curriculum right now. But because I have a the youngest, he's still in school, and he wants to read everything. Thurgood Marshall, he wants to read all the things.
Mm,
He wants to know about his Black
right.
history. So his book collection is almost as extensive as mine.
That's awesome. That's, I love it. And then that pathway to, going from a reading family to someone who creates books for others. How did you like step into that? At 2012, you said that's when you started writing.
Yes. My same youngest daughter was in all day gifted class, and she was still having some issues with reading comprehension. And her teacher said to me, "Do you think you could write a story, but leave off the ending, and the two of you could like work on different endings together?"
Huh.
So since I lived in the library in Canada, I spent hours and hours at the library. I thought, after that exercise with my child, well, if I can talk, because I can talk to almost anyone, mashallah, I can write. Oh, yeah, no, how wrong I was.
Oh no. It's a
Because
challenge.
it's a skill. It's a skill. You have to learn the craft of writing. And that's one of the most important pieces of advice that I received in 2012 from another author here, is learn the craft of writing. Because at the end of the day, unfortunately, books by Black authors have to be excellent. You're not allowed to be mediocre right now. So, you have to learn the craft of writing. So you have to think about it as you would any other course of study.
Right.
And you just have to delve in and make a mess, and don't be afraid to, put certain things away if they're not working. And if it's something that you really want to do. And I think because I'm doing this for not just every teenage girl out there, but I'm doing it for my teenage girls. I really think that's what drove me.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a huge
Mm-hmm.
motivator. And you were married with kids, and
Exactly. Still
yeah,
am.
yeah, yeah. And a lot of times that's our career, that for me, that was my career. Being an educator, being a school teacher was my second career. Being a wife and a mother was my first. But over the course of time, I've come to realize that actually my first career is being myself.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that, we have to learn, because society kind of makes it seem like as women, we're an addendum, like, um, you are the prize to be won. You know, you are the support system. You are there to uplift your husband and take care of the children. But you know, there's more to us than that. So like, you know, I believe after 50 years of life, I had to learn this the hard way. But you know, your first career is being you, and then you know the rest. But you know, going from being a full-time mom and you know, raising your family to also having a career as a published author, what was that like? Like, how did you embrace that additional career?
So I'm all about scheduling. So also I am a parent of an adult with a developmental disability. So I have an individual who probably never live outside of, of family.
Mm.
So what I did was, in again comes the library. It was me and Cherry Hills Library every Thursday, 10 o'clock, study room 2. And I made it something that was part of my schedule, something that I was doing for myself, but I wanted to write books. So I needed to take the time because, as you know, when you're at home and then there are people knocking on the door, or, just until 2024 was the first year I had an office.
Wow.
So I had a little tiny desk beside, in the bedroom, and that is where I would work.
Yeah.
And, there are certain times where, the family went to a baseball game or the family went somewhere and mommy didn't go
Right.
because mommy had work to do.
You make the time.
Exactly. And of course, like the pandemic was hard. But I was able to take a lot of online classes.
Nice.
And I actually signed with my agent the month before the pandemic broke out.
Wow.
So I definitely took advantage of like all the online opportunities, classes, workshops. I'm the one, I need to get it. I need a book. I need to, I need exercises. I need to practice because I am very much like, if it's not perfect, then I don't want anybody to see it.
You got to put in the work, you're saying.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. Exactly. And anybody, I tell people all the time, I have an undergraduate degree in accounting. If I can write a book, anyone can write a book.
And you just have to put in the work, like you said, and it takes that dedication, you know.
Exactly. Exactly. And some people, it comes much easier. So let's not, and not everybody's journey is as difficult as mine, to try to learn. But I think the thing is that, if you're really, really motivated and, and I believe, some people believe it's luck and I believe it's the qadr of Allah. It's just, you just keep working and, and understand that on social media, you see a lot more yeses. Nobody puts their nose on social media.
Right.
So don't think that any author that you see who's doing this and doing all these opportunities, they've heard no in their career.
Correct. And the way you respond to the no is what makes the difference in your pathway, right? Like you can,
Exactly.
yeah, absolutely.
Exactly. Because it's hard. It is not an easy thing to become a traditionally published author. And I can't even imagine the work that somebody who's self-published has to do. Like, kudos to them, all the hats off because woo, I don't have those skills.
I understand that. I recently took a freedom class, freedom school with Sapelo Square and Jamila Tompkins Bigelow. And Jamila Tompkins Bigelow was a wonderful teacher in that course about writing for Kid Lit. And she's one of our Friday features as well, another Muslim woman author. Black Muslim woman author. Very important to make that distinction because her biggest push has been, you know, we need books that show that intersection of the Black Muslim American experience that we're not getting. And so she also said the same thing, you know, that being a traditionally published author is such a hard struggle, you know. And then on top of that, the having that pursuit to self-publish, that's even another, like a whole nother animal that she felt like, that's a whole set of skills that I'm not even going to like try to pursue. But there are some self-published authors out there who are doing it. And it's like just a different
Right.
process. But honestly, it's harder for us as the audience to get those books because with a traditionally published there's like this machine that works for you that gets the book out there to the public. And I wanted to find out, like, how did you tap into that? Like, what was the linchpin into making the decision from going into the traditionally published, and then how you got your agent, because that's even harder. Like,
Whew, yeah. So I think the thing is that what when you hear advice, I listen to a lot of advice from traditionally published authors, especially Black ones. And like, you don't understand the importance of the words that they're saying until you're living it. Like, the most important thing for me is make the project the best that you can, because it's very, very, very difficult if you have three versions of your project, your novel. I have experience with novels, and this one has more narration, this one has less, this one is shorter, this one is like it's hard to keep track of who wanted what. So I think the main thing is, when you learn the craft, you have to find your people, so that you can have a critique partner. I didn't pay a freelance editor before I got my agent. I just took as many classes as I could. I did free resources that I could find. Of course, back then, X, which used to be Twitter, there was a lot of things that opportunities that I took advantage of. And then it's just, querying is just like another job. You have to look, and you have to investigate, and you have to see if what you've written goes according to what the agent has said they're looking for. You have to, somebody say you have to research, but you can call it stalking, mild stalking, or you can call it research, but like, you have to be able to say, okay, why do I think, and you have to be able to put this in the query letter very succinctly, why do I think that this project will fit what you're looking for? And then you have to be able to wait. So it's like, I tell people all the time, it's called hurry up and wait. So, my first manuscript was, I don't write about sunshine and rainbows, so it was about predatory grooming. And it was about a high school student who was groomed, and she was, on the surface, had everything going for her. She was, maybe valedictorian, student body president, all the things. And I had a lot of agents who balked at the idea of, it was the Black girl in hijab, and she was at a prep school. But, when I overqueried that book, like 100 agents. Wow. And I got close a couple of times, but, so of course the imposter syndrome took hold, saying, I can never write another book. Well, I got over myself. Yeah. And I silenced the imposter syndrome, and then I decided to write what is now Fatima Tate. After the first couple drafts, I actually did pay a sensitivity reader, and she brought up some significant issues that she had, so I rewrote the book. It took me months to do it, and then I revised that second iteration for probably 8 months. And then back in the day, when you had DV Pitt, I entered, and then world started changing. From there, that was like October of 2019, that right at the end, like the last Monday, I think, or something. And as I was waiting, because I got like 80 some likes on the pitch, and then as I was waiting through, because this is what I learned: it's not enough to have an agent; you have to have the right agent, because it only takes one. And I know it's really hard to hear when you're in the queer trenches and you say you just want an agent, but the wrong agent will not help your book and will not help your career. So as I was researching agents, then I was able to decide who I was going to query and who I wasn't going to query. And then I was able to wait around. I waited a little bit, and then another pitch contest came up, which is Pit Mad, and it was in the first whatever of December, the first week. And I wasn't going to enter because I still had to get through all the agents from DV Pitt. But one of my writer friends, bless her, said, why don't you just throw the same pitch out there and see what happens? And I'm glad I did, because my now agent saw it in December. And you just never know. And one word of caution: do not ever query a manuscript unless it's finished and ready to be sent out in its entirety, because Christina, who's my agent now, liked the pitch. I sent her the first chapter and the query letter, and within an hour, she asked for the whole thing.
Wow. So, like you said, it's hurry up and wait. So that over the course of, you said 2012 to 2019, that's 7 years. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
that's enough to get your manuscript tight, right?
Well, and that's the thing, is that I didn't start young adult until 2017. So I wrote a middle grade fantasy, which is terrible, which no one will ever see. I wrote 3 picture books, like a series. And, I was taking classes. I was dealing with children, family, everything,
Yeah.
pandemic.
Yeah.
So I didn't spend 7 years on Fatima Tate, but, because I did spend some time with the first YA manuscript. But, you just never know. So this is why, like, I am, even now, I will read a craft book. I will, if there's something I feel like I'm struggling with and I can recognize that in my own writing, then I will pick up a craft book, or I will ask somebody for suggestions, or let's listen to this class. And I've had sometimes crazy feedback, like, why would you? And I'm like, why wouldn't I?
Right. It's
Why wouldn't
ongoing.
I? Exactly.
Yeah. You never stop learning. Like,
Exactly.
and like as you were saying earlier, it's the same in the entertainment industry. It's a hurry up and wait.
Mm-hmm.
You work on your projects, you have all these screenplays waiting, and you in the meantime you perfect your craft. You work on what you work on, you pitch who you need to pitch, and finding the right agent or finding whatever representation that matches up with you is so important, because in the wrong hands, your great wonderful manuscript could be torn apart. It could be misrepresented in the public. Marketing won't know what to do with it, because I've heard that, well, is this a Muslim story or is it a Black story? So like those are so important. And these comments I'm directing at folks out there who are writers, because these are the things that I had to learn, that Khadijah had to learn by trial and error. We're giving you some like little gems to process.
Right.
Be open, and you have to be open to like continuing that learning process.
Right.
And so yeah, definitely I love the fact that you made it your focus is inspiring others and talking about the hard stories, like that first idea that you talked about. I definitely would read that book, because literally these are the things that nobody talks about, especially in our community. So like in the Muslim community, there's this myth that we're all we're all perfect Muslims and doing everything we're supposed to be doing, and if you're not, you're going to hell. And it's not that dichotomous. There's no there are gray areas, right? And so like having stories venture into those kinds of experiences give us permission to like talk about our own experiences that nobody wants to talk about. So I mean, definitely love that as your motivation. So tell us a little bit like about this upcoming one, because I hope that it's very much similar to your original.
Okay, so it's the title right now is a little, maybe, it might change. But so right now it's My So-Called Perfect Life. And so it's about, her name is Lena, and she's 16 years old. So it's about her relationship. She has a really close relationship with her only living parent. And what happens is that she still has a seemingly perfect life. I mean, she doesn't really know. Like, Fatima was different because she knew she wants to be a pastry chef. Lena really has no idea what she wants to do with the rest of her life. She knows that she likes to read young adult sci-fi and fantasy, especially by Black authors. And she has, she has the bestie, but she has a misbelief, which is like her life would be complete if she had more family. Well, well, sometimes you got to be careful what you ask for, because when her long lost family comes into her life, it starts to reveal layers and layers of family secrets. And so, like all my stories, she's forced to make an impossible choice.
Yeah.
So it's, again, because I'm a very big proponent, if I set my stories anywhere where I can visit, I actually put local places. So, for example, this story, Fatima Tate was set in Albuquerque. Lena's story is set between Albuquerque and Santa Fe, New Mexico. So, for example, anybody who's ever been to Santa Fe and has been to Chocolate Maven, the bakery, it's in there. Um, she doesn't drive, so she actually took the Rail Runner, which is the train that goes actually between Santa Fe and it passes Albuquerque to Belen. But so in December, late December, I actually took the Rail Runner because I wanted to feel what my character is feeling and see what my character was seeing.
Mm-hmm.
So I love to incorporate the local aspect, especially if I set it here, because there's not a lot of books that, young adult books that are set here. So
Right.
I definitely wanted to have like long lost family. I wanted to have like wealth disparities within the same family.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Oh, Khadijah, losing you. I guess pull the phone back. Yeah, there you go. Go ahead.
So I wanted to have I wanted to show wealth disparities, what happens when there are wealth disparities within a single family. And then, and so of course that fragments the strong bond between Lena and her mother, Asia. So, so I love the impossible choice. I love giving my girls an impossible choice.
I love that. It's a mother-daughter story also. That brings me to your relationship with your daughters. So when it comes to like making sure that they're on that right path, like, I mean, as a mom to a daughter myself, it's hard. It's a challenge. But what is it that like helps you to keep, you said you have 3 daughters. What is it that helps you to keep them on track so that they're, the characters in these stories, they're fraught with so many different, like you said, impossible choices. What is it that you build with your daughters that helps them to be able to make those choices and you're confident about it?
Well, I don't say confident, but I do know that a lot of like I feel my enlightenment came from mothering them, because I tried to make sure that we have an open relationship so we can have the difficult conversations. And I know in our community that is not the norm. And so now that they're all in their 20s, I make suggestions. I'm just going to be really honest with you. I'm here for you. I'm here to support you as much as I can. Call me anytime. But I'm here to make suggestions because I also know that like sometimes they have to go through what they're going to go through. They have to make the wrong decision or a bad decision for them at that time. But I want them to know that they have a family support system that is here for them always. And you of course, and you love seeing them bloom, but you also love seeing them rebound, and you love seeing them like, okay, maybe I took a wrong step, but now I'm correcting it, and just know that my love is not conditional on what it is that you do.
That part, so important. That's so important. And I love how you put that in the book. And I'm going to bring back the book. This book is so good. Like, this book is so good. I want everybody to go get this book. I personally have the book and the audiobook. I listened to the audiobook and I read it. And talking about the hard things, like, the story was very much touched a nerve with me, because as somebody who was very young, in the same situation, being encouraged to get married, and I was 18, just listening to that, I thought to myself, so many people, so many young women out there are going to feel they're going to resonate with Fatima, because they literally had a similar experience. And then I thought, not just being Muslim, because nowadays, as they say, these F boys are so hard to figure out who they are, because they're really good at tricking you into thinking that they're the good guy. And in our little character in here, he was a little shady, but he didn't start off that way, right? So like, come on. That was what I love the most about the story, the ability for you to create this like frozen in time experience where I could see myself. And I was literally yelling at, like, I was listening to the audiobook because I try to multitask. I was listening and I heard, wait, what? And I started yelling at my iPad, girl, don't you fall for that. Like, what's going on? Like, what are you doing? No, Fatima, no. So this story is like so much real. It's so real. And it's like, as Muslim Americans, it's something that I have never witnessed in another book. Like, I've never witnessed it in another television series or a movie, or a magazine article for that matter. Like this, like that, like I said earlier on our broadcast, you need to have all the awards, all the
Oh, thanks.
accolades, all
Mashallah.
the celebration. We need this in a movie. We need it in a TV series. We need literally, because the story, it's so rich, and it's so multifaceted, and there are so many different elements of being Black and Muslim in America, and particular to her own community, like we talked about earlier, being a Black and Muslim person in experience, being such a minority, as opposed to, like, if you grew up in, let's say, Baltimore, like where I grew up, like my t-shirt says. Being Black and Muslim was like normal, or like Philly, like it's like normal that you see Black and Muslim people. But I definitely wanted to honor that, and also give you an opportunity to talk about how having it finished and like having the whole story, how did that wash over you? How did you feel after it was done?
Um, let's see. Well, first of all, thank you so much. One of the problems of being myself, a type A personality, is like plot holes. I have a problem. So, and I'm very fortunate that we worked extremely hard, my agent and I, on this book. Like we worked on this book for exactly 365 days before it went on submission to publishers, because we understood, and my agent told me that it's not just the editor, it's like the whole publishing team of wherever it ends up has to say yes. So I wanted to make sure that I had, dotted all my I's and crossed all my T's. But thank you so much. And I know it's not everyone's cup of tea, and that's fine. But like my target audience, I really feel like the teenagers that I wanted for them to understand and know that they're not alone. That's was my main driver, to make sure that it was the realest I possibly could. But it also helped that I had a 17-year-old daughter at the time who read portions and said, no, 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 we don't talk like that. You need to fix that. And that, because I
That's
wanted it,
absolutely, yeah.
yeah, I wanted it to be, I mean, it feels good. I mean, I don't read reviews. I do have a friend who sends me 5-star reviews. But as far as like, I'm not gonna, engage. If you didn't like the book, that's fine. There's so many other books out there. But like, what means the most to me is when teens, especially, and I've had several local teens tell me that they love the book and it was so real, and they could just see themselves in the story, and that means everything to me, because I'm writing for teens who are never seen. And this is why the dedication says that this book is written for those who are, you said people call them not Muslim enough and they're not Black enough. This is for them. I mean, it's for them, but I want it to be a universal story, because every teenager, I don't know if I mean, if maybe there are teenagers out there who always feel like, I'm here, I feel seen, I'm recognized, but not the ones in my community. So that's the main thing for me, is like right now. And and I'm so thankful for the accolades and the awards that it's received. Because I hope and I pray that it gets it in the hands of the teenagers who need it the most. And teenagers, young, 20 somethings, 30 somethings, however old you are, I wouldn't go too young, but for those who need it, I hope that they find it as a resource, and know that even making bad decisions as a teen doesn't have to have life-altering consequences, and it's okay, because everyone is human. And I definitely made sure that Raheem was the Pied Piper of parents, is what I call him.
Yeah, he was. Oh my goodness. He was.
Yes.
I'm just, folks, when you read the book, you'll know what we're talking about, okay?
Exactly. Exactly. But I have to say that another thing that, for people who want to write their own stories, especially teenagers, go find some books. And if that's Fatima Tate, or if it's a different book, like I can tell you, when I was like, you have to read what you want to write. So if I want to, so I'm writing contemporary young adult, I read contemporary young adult. So books that gave me permission, anything by Jennifer Niven, Tiffany D. Jackson, oh my God, her books, Monday's Not Coming, are you kidding me? Erica L. Sanchez, I Am Not Your Perfect Mexican Daughter, Lori Hales Anderson, Speak. Oh, those books deal with tough topics, but they gave me the permission to write my own stories and know that tough topics belong in young adult.
Well, that's because they're dealing with them as young adults. It's like it's a no-brainer for us, as mothers to know that. As educators or even as former teenagers, we know that.
Exactly.
So we have to convey that to others so that they can get it too. And, forget about, trying to be perfect. I love what you said about your relationship with your daughters because you admire their rebound from their decisions. You give them the room to make those decisions and be okay with making quote unquote poor decisions. I mean, well, unfortunately, some decisions are poor, but as somebody who has made some poor decisions, I'm going to admit that.
But I think the thing is that who hasn't? And I think parents and adults need to remember that we did not make the best decisions all day, every day. And so, but the difference is we didn't have social media to amplify those poor decisions.
Right.
So,
And I love
so you need to have some grace and understand, and it's not easy. I'm not saying it's easy. It's not easy being a teenager these days, but it's definitely not easy seeing somebody that you love, somebody, that you carried, making the wrong decisions, but that's okay because you still have to be there for them. Because if you expect mercy from God, you have to be merciful.
hello. That's why I love how you had the parents responding to the situation. It was so good. Like it was so needed for um because not all of the parents in the world are going to get that. Like that's what they need to do. They need to be that net to catch their children when they fall instead of the finger wagger or the I told you so. So that's like, no, that's not your role. Your role is to be there to let them know it's okay that you made this mistake and I'm here to like help you along the way to get back up and do the best you can. So yeah, I love that.
And I have a really close friend who lost a child at a very young, he was 19. And we have this conversation a lot. And she says, be the soft place to
Yep.
land. And,
Yep.
and do you want, I mean, as a parent or as an adult, do you really want that test? Like if you have no mercy, is that the test that you want? That you have to lose someone that is very close to you for you to start saying, oh, maybe I need to approach this differently. And it's not saying it's easy. It's not. It's not easy because you want to jump in and you want to save. But, there has to be growth. There has to be learning.
Yeah. As a mother of an adult who has developmental delay, also my son is high functioning autistic. I still have like trouble like backing up and just letting him do those things, in life. And I do make an effort to be the soft space for him to land because otherwise, like, what am I here for? Like, this is definitely a hard task. It's like, a tightrope, like a balance. I want to protect him, but I also know that he needs to like make certain decisions on his own so that he can learn and grow on his own. Otherwise, I'm doing a disservice to him as a person, as as someone who has his own identity and his own life experiences. And as a parent, that's so important for us to know and to like do. Yeah, I really admire like your whole relationship with your children, like everything. It comes through in the storytelling as well. Like one of my favorite, seriously, one of my favorite quotes is from Stephen King, where he says fiction is the truth in the lie. So it may be fiction, but there's so much truth in it, and there's so many lessons for us to learn from storytelling, which is probably one of the reasons why I like really admire storytellers, because it's like you've been given this amazing gift. Like you're the guidepost, you're the person, like you said, who gives us permission to talk about the hard stuff. And that's so important and it's so real. So thank you.
Right. And there's plenty of books that if the hard stuff is not for you, like that's fine. But I wanted it to be available since there's such a lack of, starring Black American Muslim protagonists, I definitely wanted there to be options.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So now, thanks to you, we can see ourselves in books and in fiction, and hopefully, some of
But
you guys out there who are listening and watching, you're inspired to do the same thing.
right, but also I want you to remember, and whoever sees this, now or later, that getting a book traditionally published is not a solitary
Mm,
activity. So
gotta have.
it takes many hands. It takes critique partners. It takes, butt in chair to get to work. But my agent, my editor, the whole publishing team, like it takes a lot. It takes those librarians and those, early readers, or, the students who request the book, and, teachers. It takes a lot of people. So when people say to me, "Oh, congratulations, you did it," and I cross out that "you" and I say "we."
I love it. So tell us how you got that team. Like, one thing I know when we talked was there was a program that you spoke about that helped you. I think, was it the Highlights program that kind of helped you along the way, or was that another author I'm thinking of?
No, so I was agented when I got chosen for the Muslim Storyteller Fellowship
Gotcha.
through the Highlights Foundation. Um, so that was an amazing opportunity. It was sponsored by the Doris Duke Foundation, and it was 2 years of classes and building community. Jamila was one of the picture book mentors. I had two different mentors. One was S.K. Ali, and the other one was Nafisa.
Nice.
Brilliant authors. Like, I couldn't have asked for nicer Muslims. Who gave me, encouragement, a kick in the backside if I needed it.
Those count.
Yes, exactly. So that was amazing. And just like just to kick, because it's really hard when you're out there and you're the only one. Because several times when my book was on submission, towards the end, I did hear, "I love it. I don't know how to market it.
Yeah.
I love it. I don't know how to market it." And I think three of them came right in a row, and that was a little disheartening, because I've written the story, I've, scrubbed it clean, I've shined it up, it's shiny, shiny, and but I will never forget December 15th of 2021. I was at a restaurant with two of my close creative friends when I got the email saying that I had an offer, because I screamed in the restaurant. Sorry.
That's right. Proclaim your blessings.
Exactly.
That's
Um,
our mantra.
So yeah, I definitely, think, because it's a group thing. Of course, this is my baby and I wrote it, but I also wanted to make sure it was the best it could be, because my name is on it.
Mm-hmm.
So for those people, who, might be whispering in the background, because some of them have whispered to my face that, well, my book is chosen because I'm diverse, and because I'm Black, and because I'm Muslim, and because I'm dual marginalization. I'm not just going to put something out into the universe because it has my name on it. Like, that's not who I am. And why would my agent put in there the effort, and my publishing house put in the effort for something that was just because of of how I was born,
Yeah.
that I had no control over. So I definitely, and that's most of the time I like dismiss the naysayers unless they get too close.
Yeah. Yeah. It's easy for them to infiltrate, but you have to battle that. You really got to
Exactly.
have an
Exactly.
have an arsenal of your defense, your weaponry. Mainly the truth that you're awesome, and pretty much.
Well, I mean, I think we all are awesome. And I really, really hope that when anyone reads Fatima Tate, and inshallah, this next book that's coming out, that if they even have an inkling that this is something that they want to do, like, there are some resources on my website just free, like, what craft books to use, what, who to follow, those kind of things, because I think that's the way for us to cure our society right now,
Yeah.
is, empathy and understanding of something that you're not aware of.
Absolutely. That's what storytelling does. I'm giving
Exactly.
every time my favorite ayah from Quran is that we are created in nations and tribes to know one another. That to me is what storytelling is. You get to know one another through the telling of our unique stories, and you find connection that way. Thank you. I definitely am inspired. Like, and before we talked, like last months ago when we planned this, um, we talked for a long time, like almost 2 hours, probably. I can't even remember. I lost track of time. And after the phone call, I felt so blessed and like, oh my God, this woman is amazing. Oh my God, this is so awesome. I found someone who looks at life like I do. And that's literally what BMG Fly is all about, connecting us. Our sisterhood is so important to me.
Mhm.
I want other people to see some bits of themselves in you and in me and in all the other women that come on here and talk about our stories, because in a way it's kind of like what you said. When you write these stories with the hard things, it gives them permission to write these stories. But when you see a bit of yourself in someone who's showing up as fully as themselves, that gives you permission to do the same thing. So
Exactly, exactly. But don't discount yourself, because I mean, we wouldn't be here right now. Yes, I wrote the book, but we wouldn't be here if you hadn't, had this dedication to telling our stories and, to getting, to do this whole entertainment thing. I was like, hey, what? I mean, you contacted me. I'm like, I'm honored.
Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. No, we're gonna keep it going. We are definitely gonna keep it going. Alhamdulillah. I started Audace Entertainment because I wanted our stories told, and alhamdulillah, I'm connecting with all these storytellers who are going to get these stories out there, whether it's through traditional publishing or filmmaking or television, magazines. We're going to get it done. We're going to do it. And like you said, it takes a team, it takes a village. It's not a solitary experience. It's not an endeavor that you can just do by yourself. And that's why BMG Fly exists. So support the organization, everybody. Like, tell folks about it, share the links. We have a book club that we just started, and I am definitely excited about the book talk that's coming for this book. I am so excited. You just don't understand. Like, wait until I tell you. Oh, let me tell you. So we have book talks coming. There's so many other things that are coming. And inshallah, we'll have your support. Before we go, I wanted to ask you to give one little bit of advice that you would give to yourself back in the day when you were younger, that also some other young girls could benefit from. Is there one piece of advice that comes to mind that you think would be good to share?
As somebody who grew up in Canada, um, kind of removed from the Black community, definitely from the American Black community. I mean, nowadays, don't let others define who you are. Find out for yourself what you like, what you don't like. And I am sorry to say, but I think social media plays a huge role in that. So, spend some time thinking about you and what you want and what you like, and be okay with it. It's okay. I'm a nerd. I like math. I collect adult Legos. I do martial arts. Now I want to jump into belly dancing. I like to write books. It's fine. It's okay. So you don't have to go with this trend or this that, or you don't have to let someone else define you. As hard as it is, because you want to be liked and you think the only way to be liked is to like what everyone else is liking, but you will soon find out that sometimes you can never please other people.
Yeah, you will never please other people, and,
Exactly.
and definitely know that Allah says that you are meant to be well pleased and well pleasing. Hold on to that. You can be
Exactly.
well pleased and well pleasing to Allah, not to other people, because Yeah, I love it. Alhamdulillah. That's wonderful advice. I mean, I can take that advice myself and just repeat that over and
Yeah.
over
Well,
again.
we all need to hear it sometimes, and I think I think we need to be truthful with young people. We need to say, like, sometimes the adults don't have it all together, like, so because I never want to sit up on a high horse, and I tell my daughters all the time, if I'm struggling with something, yeah, I'm struggling with something, and but you have to understand generational differences as well. Like, we weren't raised to be like, yeah, I need therapy, or I'm struggling with this. We were just raised to get it done,
Right. Yeah.
and
No.
that's not always the best for your sanity and your mental health.
Right.
But so give the adults in your life some grace, but also find some grace within yourself. You can't expect anyone else to like you and to love you if you don't like and love yourself.
And that's the number one job. That, like I said earlier, that's your number one career.
Exactly.
Okay, give us your website. Tell everybody where to find out more about your books. And then I'll make sure that they all know when I do this book talk.
Okay. So Instagram, I'm just Khadijah Van Brakle. My website, Khadijah Van Brakle. Um, so you can find me if you just want to Google Fatima Tate Takes the Cake, which is the name of my book that came out last year. You'll find me. So
Awesome.
so I'm around.
Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. Thank you so much, Khadijah. Thank you for joining
And
us.
thank you for sticking with me. This is my first Instagram live, as you can probably tell
No,
from me holding my phone for an hour, but I'll figure it out.
well, I appreciate it. I'm so glad that you were here. I'm so grateful. And, inshallah, we're going to talk offline. Like, I've got some things to talk to you about.
Yes,
Inshallah.
definitely. You have my number. Give me a call.
Yes, ma'am. All right, everybody. Thank you for joining us. And we'll see you again next week with another
All right.
guest. And happy Friday.
All right. Bye-bye.
Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Bye.
Wa alaikum salam.